And now we interrupt, disrupt, and crash this station.
The man fighting for peace, his legacy, truth in a sea of stupid.
Filtered for your sarcastic enjoyment, Ghostgetter.
So I got this thing I want to call this new thing. Well, sort of. I'm going to call it Creepy Stories 1. Because I have so many of them, I have to have a name for it because I got a lot of them. And I have so many of them through the years that I don't even remember them all. I have to think about some of these because there are so many of them. It's not even funny. The reasons behind it are, there are several different reasons behind each one, and I won't get into a lot of them, but I will say this about the stories I'm about to tell you. This is one story. There's several over time, but this is one. In the first place, when I watch Destination Truth, Ghost Hunters, GAC, whatever it is, which I don't watch much of them anymore. And but I did watch the other day a Destination Expedition or whatever it's called on Discovery. I guess I was flipping through channels and I was watching it and I thought to myself, some of these narrators certainly are not very good at acting. I don't think if they pre-plan what they're going to say and maybe they say what they say and they tell them, say that again because we didn't hear you, and they edit it and they go through this and go through that and they do all kinds of weird stuff, and it just didn't seem legit to me. I really admire the fact that they don't always find anything, which is the way it should be. But let me tell you, there are so many of these ghost hunter shows and paranormal shows and stories and stuff like that. It's very hard for me to believe any of them. A lot of them are false. A lot of them are leading you down the wrong path. A lot of them are there to deceive you. So don't believe any of them. But there are a few that I do like. I do like on YouTube, the Y-Files. This guy will get into a story. Of course, I like Hecklefish too, but he will get into a story and it'll be so outlandish or so crazy, it's hard to believe. But then at the end, he'll tell you from what he studied and researched, he'll tell you why it's either not true or true. And he sounds very legit to me. He doesn't seem to make stuff up. Just listen to his videos to the very end because he's going to tell you if it's bogus or not. He tends to make a lot of people mad. So, and that's why. But, would you rather hear the truth or would you rather get BS'd? And that's why I can't watch a lot of these shows because I don't really like to be BS'd about it. Because so many experiences I've been through, so many times that I've had I can't explain it kind of thing to the point where I'm just like, I don't know. I just have no answers for them. Some of them I probably do have an answer for, but I'm going about this a little differently. I'm not here to accuse anyone. I'm not going to lead you in a certain direction. I'm just going to tell you the story. You give me the opinion in the comment section and things like that. Let me know what you think about it. But I'm not BSing on any of these stories I'm about to tell you. This is no joke. I would not make this stuff up, especially when it comes to things like this. I don't make these stories up. Okay? I do not. Okay, so getting to the story, because I'm sure you're like, get around to it, because I'm tired of hearing you. Wait. This is a coin. It looks a lot like a game token. This is actually an Italian lire, 100 lire, 1956. But it looks like a game token, and they don't have many of these anymore. Today they use cards that you buy, like at Dave & Buster's. You buy a card, and you put money on it, and you stick it in the machine, and you know how it goes. But back in the day, they had game tokens. I don't know where I got them from or how I got them. I can't remember. But I had a whole bunch of these, probably about 20, maybe 30 of them. I don't remember. Maybe I went to a game room and had extra. I don't remember where I got them from. But my first apartment, I had been noticing that someone was in my apartment. Someone kept coming into my apartment. And I was there in my first apartment. I was there by myself. I lived there alone. Later on, my nephew came and stayed with me. And then, so on and so forth. But my first apartment, I got by myself and I was alone at the time. So there was no one else that had the key. Maybe the office manager, whatever. But this story is a little bit freaky. I had someone coming into my apartment, and the only reason I knew this is because there were several instances where things would happen. This is probably one of many. I was noticing things that were moving around, and I couldn't figure out why or how it was happening. There were just odd things that were going on. Water running when it shouldn't be, pictures missing when there shouldn't have been pictures missing, so on and so forth. Things just moved around, things that were coming up missing, so on and so forth. But it wasn't of value, so there wasn't really a whole lot I can do. I worked in a bakery at the time, and I would have to leave about 2 a.m. and walk to work about 3 miles. I had to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm guessing it was around 2 a.m. That I had to go to work. I can't remember what time of the day it is. I'm pretty sure it was a 2 a.m. shift, but it could have been in the morning. But I'm pretty sure it was a 2 a.m. shift. But either way, it doesn't matter. I got up, woke up, and I was putting my clothes on, doing whatever I did. And I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm thinking to myself, there's a bunch of game tokens on the coffee table where I'm sitting. So I'm going to do what made me come up with this idea. I don't know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these game tokens and I'm going to throw them onto the floor, 20 or 30 of them onto the floor, and see if anybody comes into my house and picks them up and or steals them or whatever with them. They steal them basically. Because they're not of value. So if anybody's going to steal anything from there, it would be anything not of value. So what I did was I just threw them on the floor, kind of spread out, tossed them where I was sitting on the couch, and I got up and I went to work. Well, it was a 8 to 10 hour shift, and I come home and I was pretty darn tired and wore out from the day, whatever. And I had forgotten all about these game tokens. I was just tired, didn't remember it. So I just completely forgot. So I come home and I'm sitting there and I bought something to eat, I believe. I can't remember exactly, but I'm sitting there on the couch and I'm watching TV and not paying attention because I was so tired. And I looked down and guess what? The game tokens were in 3 stacks on the coffee table. 3 individual stacks on the coffee table. And I'm staring at it like, okay. But that wasn't the kicker. The kicker was there was a small, I don't know what you call it, not an emerald and not quartz. It was a rock. It wasn't even a rock. It was kind of like one of those things that New Agers or Wiccans use for like healing or curses or whatever it is. It was a little, rock. You guys know what it is, what it's called. But it was sitting on top of the stack. The little, I'm going to call it a rock, was sitting on top of one of the stacks in the middle. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a little odd. So I talked to somebody that was used to be into that sort of thing and and they told me what it was about. They said it could be for good luck. It could be for healing. It could be anything. I said, I am not into that stuff, and I don't condone it, and I don't appreciate it. So I took the rock and I threw it across the parking lot in the apartment complex, and I got rid of it. And he turns around and he says, I wouldn't have done that if I were you. I'm like, great, because I'm never going to find it now because I threw it like in the woods or whatever. I'm like, great. Of course, nothing serious happened to me after that, but that I can't explain. That I couldn't explain. And to this day, I still wonder what that was about. But here's the weirdest thing out of all of it that makes me think about it to this day. One, how did they know I threw them onto the floor? Two, was there someone there watching me throwing it on the floor? Because the only place they could hide is a closet near the front door. That would scare the living daylights out of me. Or three, they were into something they shouldn't be and they were watching me somehow or getting messages from, places where you don't want them to get messages from, stuff like that. But that gets a little deep into it. I'm not going to get deep into it, but to think that someone could have been standing there or hiding in a closet or whatever, watching me the entire time, that's a little bit scary. That's a little bit, yeah, just a little bit. So that is my weird story one of the, I don't know, of the week or whatever, but that's one of many stories I heard. And to think that so many ghost hunter shows and so many paranormal stories that you hear on YouTube and TV and things like that, you will never hear of any stories like this. You'll hear doors closing and people talking and the same old thing over and over and over again, but you will never hear anything like this because it's not fake. That's why it isn't made for TV. This is the kind of stuff that people need to be concerned about when it comes to doing things like this. I wasn't into it at the time, but I was very naive. I've been, I've done stupid stuff, and I've seen stupid stuff, kind of like paranormal investigating. But my entire life, I've been having situations where these kind of things would happen, and so I do not see one of the reasons why I stopped watching these ghost hunter shows and things like this is because they were not giving you stories or having situations where things like this was happening. They were just getting an EVP or two and a door closing and maybe a footstep or two, but nothing like this has ever happened to them. And for them to be involved in this for 20 or 30 or 40 years, and they say that this is all that ever happened, they're lying to you. They're not telling you the truth. One thing's for certain, I will say, if it wasn't for God protecting me, I would be in worse shape than I've ever been in my life. There would be some serious things that would happen to me if I didn't have God protecting me. So those of you out there that claim that you're paranormal investigators and Christian and stuff like that, you're not telling the truth. You better be careful what you're doing, because one of these days, God could say, you're on your own. You're going to keep doing this, you're on your own. And whatever happens to you, happens to you. This is why I got into exposing rather than ghost hunting, because I wanted to show people the truth of what's really happening or what really goes on when you do things like this. You have weird situations that happen to you. So anyway, not to get into a long story about it, be very careful what you do. Be very careful what you get involved in, and always pray and read the Bible and trust in God and not in man, and trust in God's word and not in man's word, because you never know when you're going to need it. Because playing games like this, it's not fun. So, yeah, I didn't intend on doing it paranormal wise. There was no paranormal behind it. I was just trying to prove that somebody was in my apartment moving things around and stealing stuff. And that's the only thing I was thinking about doing at the time. Nothing paranormal. I never thought my house was haunted. None of that stuff. But when I saw that, and the fact they knew what I was doing and could have been watching me, that would scare the normal person to death or out of their boots, that's for sure. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I appreciate you stopping by and listening to the whole story. See ya.